Hello, I'm Interweb Studios and welcome to my channel. You probably just want to get into the video, so sit back and enjoy people getting revenge on some Karens.
So the mother of all Karens lives next door, and unsurprisingly, she isn't very neighborly or considerate. She chain smokes every day in her back garden approximately 2 meters away from my bedroom window, and it wafts over, leaving me unable to enjoy my garden, unable to open my windows in summer, and unable to dry laundry in the garden as it ends up smelling like an ashtray. I politely let her know that I have asthma and it's affecting my quality of life. I discussed that all I can do is kindly suggest that if she could ever smoke in her front garden instead if she sees my windows are open or that my washing is out, it would be greatly appreciated. There was no change to her behavior and she didn't take it well. Then there's the glorious verbal abuse shouted over the fence at me. The one time I used my garden with friends, she complained about moderate noise of conversations and laughter at 8 p.m, yet said neighbor blares music on a weekly basis so loudly that I can hear the lyrics to the songs she's listening to. She regularly shouts over the fence that she's unhappy about the state of our landlord's garden, but as it's a rental property I can only do so much to fix it. Last summer the garden was covered like a jungle in out-of-control tall weeds and had a huge stack of rotten furniture from former tenants. I decided to do all the weeding, which was a horrendous task that took many grueling weekends of my own work. I had to tolerate her chain smoking while doing this task and it makes me feel quite ill. I also called my local council to collect the rotten furniture, paid for out of my own pocket, and when I was on the phone to the council sending the itinerary of items to be collected, said neighbor started abruptly shouting at me to shut up from her window. This was the only other occasion I've spoken audibly in my garden other than the time I had a few friends over for dinner. The revenge for the shouting? After the call I audibly retorted, "So you don't want me to sort out the garden, then? Don't worry, after this I won't put down weed killer or do the garden again." Since that day, I've let the weeds get out of control. Only a year on, the garden looks like a jungle again, with human-height tree-like weeds sprouting everywhere and covering every inch of my garden. It looks like the garden of a haunted house, and I know it'll drive my neighbor mad. Especially because she knows it's as a result of her own actions. When she looks out of her window, the view of my horrible garden will ruin her perfect one. I can hear her muttering about it from time to time. Revenge for the chain smoking affecting my quality of life and basic enjoyment of my home? I may have found a delectable fart-scented spray called liquid ass. I'm contemplating spritzing out the window and over the fence. Reviews online describe the product as revolting, overwhelming, and strong enough to induce coughing and gagging. I'm quite tempted to use it to encourage her to smoke in her front garden instead.
Would you consider investing in a lot of different wind chimes? Only on that side of the house, of course, and only if the sound don't carry inside. Hang up one set of wind chimes, and use a Bluetooth speaker to play a ton of wind chime sounds. Disorient her. Play the sounds when there is no breeze. Move the speaker around. Get 2 speakers. Play the mind game. Drive her bonkers. One day bamboo chimes, metal the next. Rinse and repeat.
Some of these suggestions are really making me chuckle with laughter. This is absolutely hilarious, but I don't think I could do that to the other neighbors as it's a cramped, terrace street. The temptation is there, however, believe me.
Only hang the chimes while she is smoking.
That is the epitome of pettiness and I am here for it.
May I also offer dandelion seeds? They can be purchased in bulk and are a nightmare to eliminate. Yeet them into the neighbor's yard for a little extra work for her. Spray it, liquid ass, in front of a fan blowing towards her direction to make sure it reaches her intended target. Also, search Amazon for stink bombs. They are pretty cheap and should also add hours of enjoyment to your revenge.
Short but satisfying story. Early 90s, first love, and I moved to the big city in British Columbia. We are both 20 and are living together for the first time, etc. We go for groceries on a Sunday in July. GF is wearing flip-flops. While shopping in the produce aisle, what we would call a Karen nowadays runs over the GF's toes with a loaded cart and then gives her the death stare. I was ducking, raging inside. Karen trundles away while GF is crying. Here's the thing, I don't know about you people, but when I'm mad, I can't throw anything with accuracy, like in a snowball fight after getting beamed in the face. The gods smiled that day. Karen was about 40 feet away with its back to me. I picked up the nearest object, a pomegranate, and threw it as hard as I could at the Huffalump. On my mother's grave, I hit her in the back of the neck and dropped her into a pile of corn. We began a hasty retreat and laughed all the way home.
My kids called those pome grenades. Now I know why. Grenades are named after pomegranates, the shrapnel being likened to the many seeds. I suspect this is complete bullshit, but have an upfit for creativity anyway. I had to look it up, and it's actually true. I learned something new today.
I got very extensive surgery on my left foot, which resulted in me using crutches. I still limp today. I have a temporary handicap tag for my car. I'm a young person and often people stare at me when I park because I guess I don't have a visual handicap. Additionally, I drive a lime green Honda and it does look a bit douchey, but I love it nonetheless. Anyways, due to the fact my car is very obvious, I'm often pulled over. Due to this, I always take my tag down when I drive because it's an obstruction of view. The other day I went to a Dunkin' Donuts and parked in the handicap spot, with my tag hanging up. The people in the Dunkin' all saw me, as well as my foot, and saw I was clearly handicapped. So I get back in my car and I'm about to put it in reverse. At this point I just took the tag down on my passenger seat. Immediately a white old Karen sprints to my car yelling, "Handicap, handicap." I look at her and decide I'm going to just go about my day, but as she goes in the Dunkin', she's now pointing and still yelling, "Handicap, handicap," this time completely raging. Everyone is looking at her. The people in the Dunkin' know I do have a handicap. I decide duck it. I smiled and pulled out the handicap tag and waved it at her, to which she looked at me in disbelief and everyone around her laughed. I felt a little bad because I know there are assholes who do park in spots without a tag or handicap, but I have to remind myself no one should make assumptions. I have to say I felt satisfied, lol.
My sister was diagnosed with MS when she was 22. We had people harass us all the time. I remember when I went to pick my nan up from hospital, she has a disability badge. So I parked in the disabled bay, put the badge up, stepped out, and immediately got accosted by 3 people screaming I clearly don't have a disability and shouldn't be parking there. I was like, dude, it's a freaking hospital. Is it not obvious I'm here to maybe pick someone up? Oh god, I know that feeling. My mom had knee surgery and I was driving her to the hospital where her orthopedic surgeon was. Dropped her off at the door and I found the spot, hang up the tag and get out. Immediately start getting harassed by 2 women, I think mother and daughter. They called security and I sat there wondering if I truly wasn't supposed to be driving the car without her in it, while waiting. Security shows up and I talk to him. Explain it's my mom's, not mine. Show the tag, it's valid. She's in her app now, I was supposed to meet with her there. Cue my mom calling asking where I'm at. I explain, I hand him the phone and let her talk to the security guy. The 2 women are standing off to the side smiling and laughing, looking smug like they just saved society. Here's what I didn't know. My mom knew the security guy, BC, she's a nurse at the hospital she was having the app at. She asked him to wait there and got the location of the spot we're at. She got wheeled out by one of her nurse friends and very loudly berated the 2 women for keeping me from helping her into and out of her app. Wasting the security's and the nurse's time, when they have better things to do. I've seen my mom mad, but this was a whole new level.
Guy is obnoxious to a young woman at Home Depot. I get revenge for her. Obligatory. This happened about a week ago. This guy in his maybe late 60s is acting like a jerk to the young lady working the self-checkout machines and how they are not working, and how he hates everything about them and wishes they were removed in favor of cashiers again, like the old days. This guy did not need to go to the 4 self-checkout machine area staffed by this woman. There was literally 2 other employees attending to 2 other checkouts 10 and 20 foot away. And if he felt like walking for 10 seconds, there was a 3rd lane open with nobody there on the other side of the seasonal stuff at the front. So he's basically screaming at this woman for no reason. It's not her fault. She didn't design the store. She didn't make the self-checkout machines, and she also didn't piss in his Cheerios that morning. But nevertheless he's getting belligerent and unloading on her. I was at the register, not next to him but opposite him in the 4 machine corral. I turned and discreetly said to her, "You all right, need me to step in?" She quietly gave me a very relaxed and very in control "No, thank you" though, with a friendly head nod. Despite his behavior, she was in total control of this situation, and the sad thing is he probably wasn't the first or last rude customer she's dealt with. He finishes paying about 30 seconds ahead of me, and on the way out the door I hear him say, albeit much quieter but still plenty loud for her and others to hear, "Thanks for your help, C-word." As I'm walking out the door seriously deciding if I'm about to fight, and probably get whipped in the process, LOL, I see him about 50 ahead in the parking lot and see while juggling his wood pieces and bags, he drops his car key ring with about 30 other keys on it, 3 from a parking lot storm drain. I'm so excited I'm almost shaking. It's like the heavens opened up and told that woman, "I'm going to fix this for you." So I did what any helpful 30-year-old would do, and I gently half-kicked them off the side of my boot towards the drain. They hit one of the great openings and I heard the most satisfying splash of my life. Best part was the water was pitch black and down a few feet, so you're not seeing anything when you look straight down. Checkmate, Home Depot lady. ETA, just to answer a couple questions I've seen come up a few times. 1. I didn't hang around to watch him look for his keys. 2. I also didn't go back inside the store to let the woman know anything about this. 3. I definitely was not trying to be condescending towards her by asking if she needed my help. I'm not a fighter and wanted no part of anything physical, but his tone was amping up and something about the interaction felt worse than your average asshole customer. 4. One person said I charge around looking for ways to abuse the elderly. LOL. You're respectfully insane. Had he had any type of interaction with the employee other than what he had, I would have shouted, "Hey man, you dropped your keys," and picked them up and walked towards him.
The jingle of the keys as they hit the water means an angel got their wings. Attaboy Clarence. If those puppies had the remote fob, which most currently do, I can attest that they can be crazy expensive to replace. I accidentally chucked my Toyota FJ keys in a creek. $300 plus.
OP then posted an update regarding this situation. I was at the Home Depot this morning and saw the same woman again. I decided to quickly let her know what happened. The entire conversation lasted maybe 3 minutes. I walked up to her and said, "Hey, sorry you had to deal with that guy from the other day. I just wanted you to know he dropped his car keys next to the storm drain in the parking lot and I may have accidentally nudged them in," while side smiling sheepishly. He should not be yelling at employees, and it's never okay to call women the C-word. Her eyes got wide and she let out a laugh, smiled and said he did come back in a couple times asking if anyone has seen his keys, which they had not. I guess he was less aggressive while walking around looking. I asked if she knew if his car was towed or his spouse brought a backup set, etc., and she had no idea and didn't see. I said she handled herself well and she should be proud. Customers can be tough sometimes. She said thank you so much and that was it. The moral of this event is just be nice to people in retail. It isn't that hard. You don't even have to be overtly nice. Just be normal. It's so easy to not scream at an employee. Most people successfully do it every day. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, you must have enjoyed the content, and thus you should like, subscribe, and comment something down below. And until next time, toodles.